Welcome to the DV Showcase. Tonight we continue our mission of helping support original music in the Delaware Valley and beyond with our three-step process. Listen, experience, and pass on original music. But we need your help to get the word out. So let's get started. Tonight we're talking with one of the big promoters in Philadelphia. He is part owner of DVT Entertainment. And Jim Thorpe knows something about music. He's been involved in it since the 1980s. And this is his story, featuring the music of Jason Egger and his song Worker Bee, here on the DV Showcase.
So, my name's Jim Thorpe. I'm part of co-owner of DVT Entertainment. My partner is Vince Bowles. We started this actually when Legendary Dobbs first reopened. That's when DVT was born. The entertainment was a partnership between Vince Bowles and myself. So that's about almost going on 11 years now. But I've been in the music industry probably since the early 80s. Musician, got tired of the band stuff, turned over to band management, then wound up getting into club bookings. Did stuff the old clubs like Middle Eastern was probably like my first venue I really started booking some shows. 95, I started working at the Grape Street Pub. And from there, I was there until about 2005, 2006. Got my feet wet and really learned a lot there and saw amazing acts. And, you get hooked with live shows. And I've been hooked ever since. And I've booked pretty much almost every venue in the city, which is pretty cool. The Brownies, Vince, myself, DVT, we've done stuff at TLA. Do a lot of festival work in Philadelphia. So pretty well-rounded. We manage a lot of bands, a lot more like I would say guidance. We do a lot of like free consultation to artists along the way. So we help them when their bands are getting ready to go on tour that don't know stuff. So we've done a mixture of all that stuff. The music, actually. I've always been a music lover since I was a kid. So I started music. My grandfather played in the Benny Goodman band back in the day. It's a saxophone player. Toured all the RSO, back in those days. Ever since then, I've been hooked. So it's hard to let go of music. So I like helping bands. There's always somebody new and somebody surprising. And so it's just, same thing as the musicians who never stop playing. You just have the love of music.
She's warm by tomato, cool alligator, special when she flashes a smile. Sharp navigator, smooth operator, don't even think about touching the dial. Oh, and I'm a fool for you, honey, quit your fooling around with me.
So far, is where we started from the DVT actually. So when Vince and myself got together, I had a lot of great success at Grape Street Pub. It's a legendary venue that we've done many shows, but when Vince and myself got together into DVT, we did our own thing, and we resurrected the club that everybody said that we couldn't do, and that was turning Jason Dobbs into legendary Dobbs, and we built that club. And then as that started to build, we got offers to do festivals, and it just started growing. So I just think DVT in its whole entirement is our greatest accomplishment, I think, so far, just because it's a body of whole. It's hard to say like, oh, we booked like Big Daddy Kane, or we booked, G Love, or, we did some bigger artists. They're all cool, but I think it's just building the whole thing and all the artists we helped over the past, during the duration of DVT.
Hey, I'm a fool for you, honey, get your money, lost a little worker, babe.
It's everybody wants shows, and there's only so many slots, so it's always tough to tell a band we can't do that show for you, or even sometimes bands are like not ready for that next step up a stage, and telling an artist that you need to like go back and rehearse a little more and then come back and see me. Hopefully I can give you enough. They're always heartbreaking because you never want to tell somebody that. I mean, there's all different levels, but I think the passion, when you talk to an artist's passion, or it's passion, or the song's good, or they have a good sound. We don't care what genre. We book every genre that's out there, from jazz to metal, and throw everything else in between it. It's it's just the ear after all the years seeing bands and hearing bands. You know, there's always that gut feeling on bands. Sometimes you might hear a band that's like might be a little rough around the edges. You're like, you know what? Let me give them a shot. And sometimes they surprise you when you book them live, and you're like, oh, okay. Then we take you to the next levels of the artist. Like, okay, you got this show, then you get bigger shows as they go on.
Now I asked if I could date her, she used to see you later. It's been like a merry-go-round. Don't underestimate her, she's like an elevator. She lift you up and bring you on down. Oh, and I'm a fool for you, honey. Honey, quit you fooling around with me. Hey, I'm a fool for you, honey. Get your money, lots of flip the work on me.
So what we try to do is, when we get bands that we like to work with, and we try to pair them with other bands and try to create a community within the venue. So, and I'll go back a step. Let me say, like, I think it's a two-part thing. It's artists and venues need to work together, and other venues need to work together with the artists. So you need that whole circle, the whole scene, to kind of be connected somehow. I think it got disjointed at a point when that article came out. It was kind of all over the place. You had like an indie scene, you had your, rock scene and your punk scenes. They were all kind of separated, and nobody was talking to anybody, so it kind of got disjointed, and the shows started to dwindle. So when we started doing our shows, we tried to make sure that we connected and put the right shows together and create, I guess you can say, a customer environment. It's like a friendly environment for the bands and for fans, and that's what you kind of do to build the scene. Because we've been doing this since the 80s, so I've seen different scenes over the years. I saw the 80s scene was always great, then it fizzled. Then the early 90s, we had a great scene. It was Kyra, Dobbs, great. There was all kinds of venues happening at the same time that was booming. Then it died, then it picked up again with Johnny Brenda's, the Boot and Saddles, the Church. So like it goes in waves. So we were part of a good wave. We started building, COVID hit, and everything went down again. And now I think we're in a position now to kind of build the scene up. As you might know, we booked Dobbs, we booked the Kyber now, we booked the Broken Goblet, and we have the Rural Cafe. So we have like 4 venues we can rotate bands through and create a scene, if that makes sense. Like kind of be able to not control bookings, but be able to book shows so it's the best option, best scenario for each band to be successful at. So if we can dedicate our time on this show at this venue, then if it does real well, we can move it to another venue and kind of build an internal tour within the city that they can build and help develop their their crowd base and fan base.
This baby is driving me so crazy. Says, oh, before we begin, I'm begging and I'm pleading, feel just like I'm bleeding. Oh, baby, you know that I'm stoned. spin like a merry-go-round. Underestimated, she's like an elevator. She'll lift you up and bring you on down. Oh, I'm a fool for you, honey. Honey, quit your fooling around me. Yeah, I'm a fool for you, honey. Get your money like some little work of me. Oh, I'm a fool for you, honey. Honey, quit your fooling around with me. Oh, I'm a fool for you, honey. Get your money like some little work of me. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Broken Goblin.
Grassroots supports original music and understand how it's hard to pursue a dream. They have since 1975. It's a family-owned specialty gift shop located at 93 East Main Street in Newark, Delaware. Or you can call them at 302-453-9751 or shop online at grassrootsonlineshopping.com or like them on Facebook at Grassroots Shop. Chuck Old, otherwise known as Risk Manager Chuck, and I want to tell you a little bit about myself as being a person who's dealt with the public for a long time. I started out as a waiter in a retirement community through high school and college. Then I moved on to retail management for 18 years, where I met the needs of my customers, trying to find the right products or help them in their situation. Currently, I have two roles. My one role is with the Bracken Agency, where I'm a risk manager, where I help you discover what's important in your life and how to cover it. The other is helping original music, where I help push people's music out there for everyone to see. So if you need help finding out the right coverages for you and your family, or you're a musician trying to find a way to get your music out there, just give me a message or a call. I'll be sharing content here on this new page. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a great day. Welcome back, and we continue telling the story of Jim Thorpe, featuring the music this time of 49 Burning Condors and their song Marigold Lake, here on the DV Showcase.
And there's always new bands, because that band breaks up and there's two other bands sometimes, you know how that works. Sometimes I think the bands just need to play out and see if they can coexist together a lot of times. I mean, that's a lot of times people put together a band real quick, they put some songs, let's go play out and see how long we can go, and maybe we'll start to grow. I think a lot of times bands used to get in that factor, oh, we need to be signed, so they try to do these 3, 6, 12 to a year to 2 year programs, and it's like, if we don't get signed in 2 years, we're done, we're out of this game, and they go off. And I've seen that happen numerous times. Nowadays, labels ain't worth nothing, so as music's so devalued, it's all about touring. So now you need artists to be around for a while to build a base to actually go on tour. So they might need to be 5-6 years in the trenches before they get an opportunity to be able to do a run across the US that's at least profitable and they can make money on it. So it's I know what you mean. Sometimes you have these great bands and they'll be packing out the house. I'm like, oh, we called it quits. And you're like, I lost my headliner. My guaranteed, like, every 2 months I got this band that puts 200 people in a room. Now we got to find somebody to replace that, you know? So there's always bands that are ready to take that spot. Like, you know, I like bands that support other bands and come out and see other shows, because they can see, like, I need to be where these guys are doing. Not their sound, but I need to get that crowd. So how do I get there? You know, so you watch bands over time, just the ones that are passionate and really drive to be successful, they'll do that. And like I said, it's always a rotation, and you get bands that, you know, that constantly do that, which is good for us. I guess you could say, I mean, we've done the TLA. I mean, maybe if I could do a show at the Wachovia or something, or Camden, and be able to do a big show myself at that'd probably be like the ultimate, you know, yeah, I made it, I guess. I don't know. It's tough, because I know that's kind of, for me, that's enough. It's out of reach. Something like a a big 15 to 20,000 seat venue is very impossible for us. But yeah, I don't know. There's when it comes up, I'll let you know. I mean, I still have fun now. You know, it's like every show's been awesome. I was like, to me, the best thing is when you book a band and you really don't know them, and they go and they blow you away. And that's kind of the thing that I really love when I see a band. Like that to me is like a home run. Like that's my peak. I was like, oh my God, we took a flyer on this band. They come in and they kick ass, and you're just like, wow. You know, it's like, I always compare it, like when I was at Grape Street, we had Jeff Buckley come in, and at that time nobody knew who Jeff Buckley was, and that was the first guy that turned me on to singer-songwriting, and I saw him live, and that voice, angelic voice, was so ridiculous. I was like, oh my God. And that's kind of like where I had that oh my God factor over time, is seeing bands like that. And then we booked bands like Walk the Moon before they were big with that, you know, but you saw it at that point, you know, so that's always a wow factor, because like, oh, hopefully these guys can move on to that next level, you know. She feels for twilight and pulls down night. I'm just glad to be doing shows. Being able to book shows and having my email box filled with bands ready for shows. I just think for any artist that's out there looking, and, you know, some advice. I know everybody's like, okay, COVID's slowly coming out and shows are starting to come back. It doesn't mean that venues are going to be automatically packed. So I think bands need to still promote and also work with venues and talk with people and keep networking to, you know, keep on getting, you know, your scene and your music out there. It's going to be a little slow getting back to normal. We're really gearing toward, like, most of our bookings are going to be like late September, early October is probably going to see the Kyber and the Dobbs shows start popping up. So there's a lot of planning ahead of time, which we're glad about, so we can really get really solid shows to kick off the new year. But just, you know, artists, I mean, no, the great thing about the pandemic, not a great thing, but the artists and the quality of music that I've received, because we do a DVT Spotify playlist, so we do 25 new releases each month that people artists. So much amazing music was recorded during the pandemic that artists were sending us. So we can't wait to book all these artists that send us all this killer music. And it was, you know, I guess you're sitting at home, you have nothing to do. You know, people start really being creative and start writing some really good stuff, and a lot of cool, like, kind of meshing styles together that, you know, kind of like old new, as we've seen, you know, being around for a while, you see trends rotate, and now I'm seeing a lot of meshing of, like, all over the place, probably more than I ever seen out of artists lately. It depends on the shows, actually, how you book them. and how if people's fan bases are going to come out, because you're going to still have people who might be hesitant to go into crowded areas, that are not vaccinated, or they might not want to take that risk. Nobody knows. It's. I know that there's the Grape Room by here and the Milo House over Mount Airy. They've been doing some killer shows and they've been packed. So they've been doing some really good shows. The Grape Room has been like some good shows, some are right. But I think it's just going to be a slow thing. You're going to have some good, bad, but as long as it progresses up, or it stays I always say, if it stays like a heartbeat, it's going to survive, because you're going to have up and down. It's always, you're going to have up, good shows, bad shows, down and stuff. Because I've even seen some national artists having a hard time selling tickets in some markets. So it should be, it's going to be interesting. The good thing we're small venues, so hopefully, we're not looking at like a couple thousand people to throw in a room. If we can get to 100 to 150 for each show starting out, that'll be a positive, thing going forward. Second Street, the Northern Liberties Festival.
Yeah. Are you guys bringing that back this year, or?
We don't know where everything stands with all the festivals, because they're run by sponsorships, so that all depends on. I know that's usually in August, the Second Street, so that's not gonna. We did that last year. We did all the bookings for it, and it was very successful. Well, pre-COVID. So they probably won't do it until 2022. So that planning starts at 21. South Street, there's a South Street Spring Festival, which is the same thing as the Second Street Festival on South Street. That's going to happen in May. So far, we think that's still on board. They're planning on that. And then we do Liberty Music Fest. We do that one. We haven't done that since COVID started. So that's our own festival. We do that at the Broken Goblet Brewery up in Ben Salem. We'll do 3 stages, 1 indoor, 1 outdoor, full bands, and 1 acoustic stage. And we run it over 3 days, and we do educational panels and mentoring sessions for artists, for everything from publishing, how to book a tour, to your rights, to how can I build my careers and stuff like that. So we can't wait to get all this stuff start rolling again, because that's kind of our bread and butter. Like, that's like the payoff for all the bands that do the small clubs, is they get the bigger festivals and stuff like that. So which is good that everything kind of slowly go back into a full touring circle or touring cycle for all these artists. So when the festivals come around, everything's ready we can roll right into them like normal. Keep our fingers crossed. It's always quality music first with us. And also too, it's when you do a show, you got to make sure. We're really big on developing artists, so we try to do a 3-band night. We don't like to get in that 5-band area, so we try to do a 3-band night, maybe 4 if it's acoustic opener, or acoustic opener and 2 bands. 3's the ideal, because you can do 1 touring and 2 local, and as long as you can get somebody can draw real well, and then that can support the touring band, and hopefully they can build a fan base themselves, along with being sandwiched between 2 locals. So that's kind of how we started. Where somebody might come up to me and say, you might call me up and say, Jim, I got this 3 bands that we want to play together. We've been together for a while. We want to do a reunion show or something. That also gets always high priority. A lot of old school reunion shows, or there's a lot of young bands out there. We go to college. There's 3 bands that we know in college. We want to do a show at your place. So that's an option too. So there's all different kinds of ways to book a show. A lot of times artists will send us stuff, and we'll ask them too. It's like, do you play with anybody in the city? If they say no, okay, then we'll pair them with another band similar, or something that might work musically. So it's actually it's a crazy science that we have, and working with my partner Vince, we kind of know each other so well that we can just start putting bands in slots, and we know exactly how the shows are going.
brought down the sky.